Chelsea doesn't care enough about the Conference League, so you guys are ready to lose it. Chelsea fans are waiting.
No, we care about the Champions League. And like when we used to have two big squads, it's easy to separate the squad and go and play Conference League and come back. But now that we know we need to get into the top 4, top 5, like Charlie, I'd rather he plays the young boys, Charlie. He should play them. Like
No,
we can even get out.
But a club of your stature, even if you play the young boys and you people don't win, it's a disrespect. Like it's a disgrace.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the fact that we should play boys doesn't mean, but like it shouldn't be at a level that compromises like our Premier League ambitions. That one, like they need to make top 4. Like you see when Maresca came out to say that
top 4 ni the
yeah, they were like he was like, oh, the club didn't say we should play Champions League this season.
Yeah.
You see how we smoked it. So and now he has started changing his mouth, saying that last 11 games we need to push. Like
the top 4 there he won't get. Me, I've said he won't get. Charlie, they're living. You said what? Arsenal will win the league.
I'm saying, would they get top 4? Because even they are not assured of top 4.
Will Arsenal get top 4? I mean, it's more likely that Chelsea. All I know is that it's more likely, even though it's extremely unlikely, that Chelsea will get top 4 than Arsenal winning the league. That's all I know. But me, I've consistently said that City will make top 4. You are the one who's been disagreeing, and currently they are showing they are there.
Oh yeah. I think City has strengthened just enough to make top 4.
So if they are making top 4, who are you pushing down? Nottingham Forest.
No, I think Chelsea is the team at risk right now of not making.
So why are you disagreeing that Chelsea will? When I say Chelsea will not make top 4,
I don't think. I also don't write them off in that way. I think.
No, so I'm not writing Chelsea off. I just think the others are not going to give in because they are not Arsenal.
Oh no, I think
if it was Arsenal in 4th place, like I know Chelsea will make top 4, but
no, like I think people also. Yeah, it's just difficult. Like if our players come back from injury before the last.
So saith every manager, Pep Guardiola. If Rodri comes back from injury, we win the league, Massa.
Oh no, but that's because it's
Arteta. Like if Saka comes back from injury, we'll win the league.
No, but I've already admitted that we are not going to make it, like with the way we are playing now. So, to be honest, like we need to play better, and to play better, we need the players to come back. And even when they come back, we are not sure that they are going to be playing at the same level.
The same song Ten Hag sang. Same song. Ten Hag sang.
You have been unfair to Chelsea because the last 2 seasons we've never really been in the top 4. We were in
Please. You were in a title race, and you kept saying that you are not in a title race, and now you are fit, and now you are saying when you people were cooking, you came here and said that I doubted Maresca from the start of the season, and you guys are cooking, and you guys should wait. Then I said, at some point, you guys will not make top 4. Pep will lash you guys. Even that one, you said Derby. You see, your tone has been shifting over as the season went along. Now you are like.
Because I'm a very, very realistic person.
Now you've reached the point of, it's like stages of grief. Now you've reached the point of acceptance.
Do I think Chelsea will make top 4? Or, do I think we'll play Champions League this next season? Yes.
Champions League because you will be 5th, and in EPL will get 5 slots in Europe.
I don't care.
And you know the funny part, if United goes and does kiki to go and win I can't say in Europa, you guys will drop off again. You won't get you won't get the slot. They will do you like Ten Hag did you last season. He will wait. He won't do anything in the league. Then he'll go and win some cup and come and knock you off.
Yeah, but we know they will not do anything in the Champions League. I don't know any normal fan who would rather want.
They don't care. United fans don't care whether they will do anything. They will rather deny than do anything. It's the same thing. The
I also don't.
UEFA Conference League, they're not doing anything properly there, but they've denied Chelsea, and Chelsea is playing a Missy UEFA Conference, UEFA Europa League. They're not doing anything, but they've denied Chelsea anyway. Chelsea is sitting top of Conference League. Conference.
If you ask me which one would we rather play, Europa or Conference, I would always say Conference. Especially if no, I'm serious. I'm
Why?
serious. I have a
Your club would
I have a
disagree for
caveat.
the money. Even just for the money, your club would disagree.
Yeah, probably, but Europa is quite tough. Like this is my reason.
Uh-huh.
Europa is quite a tough
So
competition
you are
to
saying you're
keep
admitting
up.
that Chelsea is a shitty team?
Yes, else why would we be in the Europa Conference League?
Hey, a team that was fighting, no, but you are in the Europa Conference League because of last season's performance. A team that this season were
Yes,
top of the table, were in a title race,
but even
were competing left, right,
we were
center.
you guys are the ones who
You guys
have
were
been
not
putting
bold
some
enough to hold up a title race. You guys chickened
of
out and
boldness.
said, we are not in a title race. We are not in a title race.
By this time, we were 10th. What are
Massa,
you saying?
Massa,
Last season,
Massa.
by this time, we were 10th.
Leicester, the season that they won the league, do you think the previous season they were second in the Premier League? They weren't. Surprise wins always happen. You guys were not bold enough to take it through. You people are just saying, last
No.
season we're bad. Last season we're
We don't
bad.
want surprises.
You don't
We
want,
don't want
you
surprises.
don't want surprises.
Let's
When
let's talk
when
about
when proper coaches take over clubs, they only need one season to do wonders. See what Xabi Alonso did with Bayer Leverkusen. When he came, the season he came, they were 20th. Then he took them to the top of the league the following season. See what Unai Emery has done with Aston Villa. Chelsea, Edu, Enzo Maresca, this guy, Poch had come to stabilize the team for you. Do the needful else. We are not ready for a title race. We are not ready for a title race. People are just cutting Maresca's sack. Then he's going around saying they've not told him that they need to play Champions League next season. Hey, like from no title race to no Champions League. Oh, anyway, it's so funny that we've been bantering all through. But yeah, welcome to another episode of the Beer Parlor. It's been such a long time, like almost 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks since we recorded an episode of the Beer Parlor. And that's because there were a lot of things happening. I think there was a week where I was away. There was a week where Erasmus was away. But finally, we are back. And as we've come back, there are a lot of things on our chest. One of them is the ones you heard me bantering about. Chelsea doing like 2x4 with the league performances and breaking Chelsea fans' heart with Maresca. Like the way people hyped up Maresca at the first start of the season. Now, searching. But anyway, we'll go into the technicalities of that. But the first thing I want to talk about is something that enraged a lot of Africans at the start of this week, from last weekend throughout. I think, was it midweek throughout? Is Jamie Carragher. I don't even know whether I'm pronouncing his name right or wrong. But basically a Liverpool legend who says Mo Salah has less chances, or one of the disadvantages of Mo Salah in his bid to win the Ballon d'Or is that he won't have the opportunity to win any major tournament. Now, first of all, the reason why this part angered a lot of people is that they brought up the AFCON, and he basically just downplayed the relevance of the AFCON by saying it's not a big tournament. And since then, a lot of African legends, a lot of football and sport journalists have gone on to say Mikel Obi, JJ Okocha, all these guys have come out to call out Jamie Carragher. In fact, JJ Okocha said, for a guy who has won nothing in his career, there's no point dignifying his question or his statement with a response. You don't, your child would not want to be like Carragher if he ever enters football. That's the words of JJ Okocha. And people have been really, really harsh towards the reaction to that comment. But also, more importantly, the reason why I think that's also annoying a lot of people is that even for the year under review, no major tournament will be played to be considered for the Ballon d'Or. Like for the season under review, there is no Euros, there is no Copa America, there is no World Cup, and there is no AFCON, because now the Ballon d'Or is considered in seasons. And so there's no question of any major tournament even as part of the metrics of considering who wins the Ballon d'Or. So why is Jamie Carragher putting himself in trouble for something that's not even a metric for determining who wins this Ballon d'Or under this particular review, for which reason he's gotten himself into the hot boiling water. But let me put my emotions aside for a little bit. Erasmus, why do you think this perception of the AFCON being a little disrespected tournament at some corner of the world that nobody cares about, where do you think this comes from? And has there been a build up to this ultimate backlash that people have been holding this disrespect for a while? And at this point, they just go like, for someone to be bold enough to disrespect it on one of the biggest media channels, they just have to call him out for what it is.
Yeah. So for me, I think there are multiple layers to explore with regards to this comment, and I get that there's a lot of thoughts and opinions flying around, but I don't want us to miss the most important part of the conversation, which is the opportunity to talk about the AFCON tournament itself.
Yeah.
Let's be frank with ourselves. The perception of, and it starts from our perception of our national teams flowing down to our perceptions of the tournament.
Yeah.
Like from a Ghanaian perspective, the Black Stars used to do so well at AFCON, and it was a tournament that we really, really wanted to win. But over time, there's been a huge disconnection between the youth of Africa and the football fans within Africa and their national teams, and vis-a-vis the AFCON tournament. Like, if we are being honest, the view that we held several years ago compared to now, there's much of a difference, and you can point out to many factors. Like, for example, when European competitions and them being very, very popular within African sects now, them pulling away all of the markets, it's weakening some of our local leagues and our ability to produce good players on the international stage to continually be able to compete. So the perception, even amongst ourselves, we need to be able to question it. Is it still very, very strong? The second thing is, the tournament itself, has it continually still been able to deliver the level of quality that we want to see over the years?
Yeah.
I think with this, there's no clear answer to it, because, for example, we are now seeing the rise of smaller nations who are doing very, very well at football, like nations like Cape Verde. I think which team scored us? Was it Madagascar? Comoros, who are now engaging in football projects that look very, very strong and are toppling the big team. Although this is a good thing, hearing that teams like Ghana, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Senegal are struggling doesn't bode well generally for the tournament. Like, there's a perception that, okay, maybe it's not really like what's going on over there. It feels a bit chaotic. So I think it's a positive. It means that football quality is going down to the smaller teams, and the big nations are going to respond by now knowing.
I have a question on this logic though. Like the EPL, football has cycles, right? All football leagues have cycles. There are times where predominantly big teams start to struggle and they will need to go through a rebuilding phase. In the EPL, for instance, Team Manchester United, we see even Liverpool up until the club came, we see Arsenal. All these teams are teams that have had heavy downfall moments. But even Manchester City was not a team considered to be known in Manchester until recently. But the fall of the big giants have not meant that the sport is now being viewed as less of what it used to be, or the league is now being viewed as sort of less of what it used to be in the past. It's actually now being viewed as more competitive because there is no dominance and small guys can be competing. Why isn't that perception transferring to the African Cup of Nations when you are clearly pointing out that like small guys are actually now competing and doing much better?
No, it's actually not. I think people hold the same view even when it comes to the EPL, even when it comes to, like, when you look at the Italian league, where they were like changing winners every year compared to the era of Juventus being solid. Like, it's a perception thing, and I think if you look at it more closely, it comes from, like, the fans of the big clubs are usually the noisiest ones. So when they become disillusioned with football, they can sort of communicate that everything is being disillusioned. Like Ghana winning AFCON or Ghana winning a game, their fans are far more euphoric and enthusiastic compared to Comoros, where maybe the football fever is not even as much. So I think this disillusion even happens in points where like even in the places which you mentioned. But I think was the good thing to notice, you are right, that it is a sign that it is becoming competitive and dominant, right? And like for example, the Ghanaian FA is under a lot of fire by the Ghanaian public and the government to improve the quality and the standards. And I
Yeah.
think they would respond. And I think teams will respond. And this commensurate increase in quality would then mean that the leverage of the tournament is going to increase. But the last thing I also wanted to discuss to complete the point I started earlier is that look at the level of talent that we are still able to produce, and how this talent and these teams compete on a global stage. If we look at the World Cup right now, the last World Cup that we played, Morocco was able to get to the semi-final,
Yeah.
which was unheard of any African team. Ghana did it in 2010, and we saw how much like everyone was euphoric about it. So I think the competition has just gotten tougher and stronger. But I think that we've suffered on the side of branding, the logistics, and the kind of commentary that we make about this. Like we need to be able to speak positively about this tournament. We need to be able to hold it, cherish it a bit more. And for us, it's our source of pride. We always look forward to winning this tournament. Everyone, like we act like we don't care about when the Ghana match is on. Everyone
You
is out there
watch.
rushing to go and
Yeah.
yes, that's the most important thing. Like when I thought about this issue, I had to sit down and reflect and think, how do I really feel about the AFCON tournament? Sometimes I feel, yeah, I don't care too much. But when it starts, I want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like I go to pubs, I live in the UK, I go to pubs and I see people watching it. Because like in Liverpool where I live, people watch Senegal matches because they want to see money
Yeah.
and they want to see do well.
They would
And they
watch
want to see Mane
Egypt.
do well. They watch Egypt because they want to see Salah do well,
Yeah.
and so that Salah gets the accolades. Sometimes they don't want them to do well. I had my boss is a Tottenham fan, and there was a point at which he was like, he hopes Senegal comes home so that
Yeah. So that the
some
players will
of his
come back.
players will. Yes, so people do care about the tournament, but
Yeah.
I think it is very so it's a very very lazy comment, right? Because I understand what Carragher is trying to say, that there is a perception out there that it's not a big tournament. That perception applies to the Asian Cup. It applies to the
No, but
Confederations Cup, CONCACAF.
Erasmus, you see, I don't buy the argument that what he was trying to point to was the perception. What he was doing was expressing his belief in the perception because he was called out on the show that AFCON is a big tournament. It's a tournament reflecting an entire continent, and people are crazy about it, and people leave their club football to go and play the national team and come back. And it's a tournament that represents the best in the continent. And he still said, no, it's not a big tournament. He didn't admit that it was a big tournament because it's not that. And like you are saying, it's very different when somebody says, oh, it's clear that there is a perception out there. And I'm distinctly talking about that perception as a negative thing. No, he was expressing it as a belief that it should be normal. Everybody should accept it that AFCON is not a big tournament. And let's move on. Let's stop the fuss about all this frenzy thing about it. And I'm like,
Yeah,
does this also mean that no African would ever win the Ballon d'Or simply because
yes.
they happen to come from Africa and happen to have to play the AFCON?
I think it's asymptomatic. It's symptomatic of like a larger issue, which like a conversation which needs to come out. Like, what's the metric for the Ballon d'Or? Like,
Yeah,
and beyond that, also, what's the commercial value of most of these tournaments in the first place? How much are investors willing to put in stuff like that? Let's be honest. Most of the most of the teams which compete in Europe,
yeah,
right? Apart from the very very big teams, there are some really really poor teams also. You see, there are some really really
yeah,
really poor teams. So it's not just the case that oh there are some names that we don't know within this tournament, but they get to benefit from the spotlight. They get
yeah,
to benefit from the fact that some of these big teams compete in there, which means that TV money chases them,
yeah,
which means that they get, there's a big pie, so smaller teams get to have a share of it. And
Yeah.
if they continually of the big pie,
They
they're
get more
eventually going
money
to
to
get food
develop. Yeah.
develop. So they need to understand that that competition that's in there is not something which is born outside of like inherently from within the competition. It's a privilege which they've been able to feed off and grow off for long,
Yeah.
right? So we also have some of the very very best players, like when you do mention them, but we suffer from the fact that a lot of some of these players are unknown even when they have better higher quality.
Yeah.
And uh, it also leads to the question around the talent pipeline, because when we recently saw that talent pipeline in Africa is growing, like with the Right to Dream Academy in Ghana, which is going through North Zealand,
Yeah.
see the players that they've put. These players are coming into the Premier League and they are blowing the show. Kudus,
Yeah.
Kamaldeen, like this guy, Enes Nuama,
Yeah.
like these guys, like are just blowing as Simon Adingra. They just come in and they compete, which tells you that there's quality there, but they do not get access to some of the same opportunities and resources which some of these teams do get.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a broader, much broader conversation which people are missing. Like Carragher may be racist or expressing a racist sentiment. I don't know, and I don't care. I don't think he's the most important component here, because the view that he holds, it's no, and let's be honest, this is a layman's view,
Yeah.
and and Carragher
I mean,
has
I think the
always
thing is
just
that people
represented.
expected him to know better.
No, like why would you expect him? Like it's you setting yourself up for disappointment. I don't expect more from him. He's there to represent the opinion of the streets. Like that's why he keeps on making the news cycle,
Yeah.
and his he is happy because like it's increasing the news cycle and the popularity, and they'll keep him there, and he's motivated to continue making such comments. But I'm glad, what I was happy for was that the two black
Yeah.
guys who were
Storage
over there,
and Micah.
yes, so kudos to, like, that is our responsibility. You can't control what the other guy is going to do,
You just
but
have to
your
respond to
responsibility,
it.
yes. And I'm glad that they did it right there and then,
Yeah.
without leaving it go and leave, that they challenge that perception. So anyone who is going to listen will do that. And that's why I'm a bit circumspect, because I want people to always express their opinion so that we can always point out and say,
You are the
yeah, that
bad
is
guy.
not right.
Yeah.
Yes, people out and say, you are this, you are that. No, because that opinion, people just hold it and they think it's normal. I have people who come up to me and say, yeah, but AFCON is not really a big tournament, right? It's not like the EU. And they just casually believe this. And I don't have the time to always explain to them and say, is this, is that, is that. But such a debate
You see,
opens up for people to be quite about how they speak
unpopular
about it.
opinion. AFCON is bigger than Copa America.
It is.
It's bigger and way more
It is.
competitive than Copa America. Copa America, buga buga
It is.
ball. Like they are playing as if they are playing some division 6 league, playing and hitting each other and just being extremely physical.
No. I don't want to like. I don't want to say it
Just
on the merit of
the quality of the play.
talking down. No, not just talking down on it,
The
but
scale.
you know, like Copa America, there are teams that, like, the cycles of play. I've forgotten how it is, but they play way fewer matches.
Yeah.
They get to, like, out of the group stages straight away to semi-final. Like there are lots of things in there which allows for teams which are not, because they don't have as many teams. The
Yeah.
number of players which they have, apart from Brazil and Argentina, Uruguay, sometimes Peru, Colombia, like the rest of the teams, the quality
Yeah.
doesn't match up. I think across Africa, you can mention like 6, 7 giants who are capable of winning the tournament right from the get-go. The level of competition that it gets is higher. And even for countries that you would think they do not have players, countries like Zambia appear on the scene, have like super talented, fast players.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the random. You can just open a random AFCON game and you will be excited. Like, I can guarantee you. I mean, I think this is the
That's
opportunity
what
that we
people were
promote.
asking. Does Carragher even watch the AFCON? Obviously, he doesn't.
It does.
And the
It
question
doesn't.
people were asking is, how do you determine? And I saw an interview that someone else did, as another station did, with the Nigerian captain, Williams Trusekong or something. I think it was the best player of AFCON, the most recent AFCON. And They were asking him, well, they've seen some of the streams and the streams don't look great. Like some of the pitches don't look great. And so is that not like affecting the perception of the competition? And for me, that's my thing. That's the reason why I was even having a go at the Copa America, because people believe Copa America is a great tournament. Have you seen some of the pitches Copa America is played on? Have you seen some of the quality of the play? How large, how expansive is Copa America streaming? It's probably even much less than AFCON, because this AFCON, this immediate past AFCON, had heavy investment from Total Energies, and the streaming was much better. The pricing, the
Yeah.
CAF investment into football from FIFA is also increasing. So how do you sit and then cherry pick and say, yeah, because you watched a few AFCON games and some of the pitches were not EPL standard pitches, that's not a big
I'm telling you,
tournament?
he's not watched anything.
Like,
He's not watched anything. We play with Chelsea. You were just talking about Chelsea and the Europa Conference League. You've
yeah.
seen some of the play on. You've seen some of
Even
the
some of
people
these
had to
cup
play on.
competitions. Look at first division. Is it the first division in England? The first division is the Premier League, right? The Division One. I know your friends say, I've even forgotten.
Championship.
The Championship, yes. Some of the pitches that they play on.
League.
But people will tell you that, oh, the Championship is very, very competitive. And if you're able to make it from there to the Premier League, you have some steel. You have then to win the Championship is not easy. Then you come and disrespect AFCON because you watch one game and the quality of the pitch wasn't great.
No, I don't even think they watched, because anyone who watched this year's AFCON knows that it was well put together.
Yeah, it was
like
much, much, much better.
The opening ceremony was like awesome. Like it was well put together. Can we improve? Yes. Like I think we can. Like there were some years where we were struggling to find hosts and things like that. But look, it's improving. The quality of players, like there are players like Ademola Lookman, who are now just choosing to sign for the African. Like Brahim Diaz did it because it's becoming competitive, and I think it's going to get there. Like, the perception is going to grow, but that's why I say it's a lazy take, because he obviously took the perception that he's just held in his mind, and because he's held that perception, he doesn't watch the game. He doesn't watch the games, and he comes back and then he says, okay, well, if you win it, it doesn't make a difference. It would. Like last year, Lautaro Martinez was high in it because they were like,
he won the Copa America.
Yes, and even if not for the fact that like most people won't credit to him, they credit it more to Messi. Like it made a case for him. I think eventually he was like top 10 or something like that. So no one is saying if it is being if maybe Kylian Mbappe has won Euros, has almost similar amount of goals, things like that, and we are comparing straight away. Yes, maybe you say that comparatively this is a bit more competitive, but to dismiss the tournament as a whole is lazy. But like I said, I'm not surprised, because this is a pundit who is who gives a lot of lazy comments. Like that doesn't look researched, that doesn't look well balanced. So it is our duty. I'm glad that people have stood up to defend it, but I don't want it to be the way that like you're just
what the AFCON social media pages have been doing. They just put together best highlights, historic goals, great moments from AFCON, and then they'll target major tournaments. That's the chat. And then they'll leave it there. And I'm like, Carragher did himself dirty, Charlie. What?
It's like we face the same thing within debates. Like us coming from a debates background, like when people hear PAUDC,
they will disrespect it.
There's lots of times where you're like PAUDC, and when someone wins Euros, they're like, good. Someone wins PAUDC. Okay, like it comes from.
Okay.
Like we would like just roll into a tournament and casually beat majority of the teams who would have.
They'll tell you that Euros is. I think it's just the privilege and the prestige that comes with it. So
and then the control of the narrative. So I'm glad that people stood up. Like people stood up. Like people should watch AFCON more, and we should talk about it more. Like, I don't think we should shy away from it. I think we should popularize it.
Obviously, the next AFCON, for instance, you should do a proper like media coverage of the AFCON and do a proper coverage to spread it.
Let me be quite clear that his view is not a sentiment that is shared wide across board. Like football people who care about
They
football,
know that
we
the
will watch
AFCON is
everything.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, watch it, and they ask me questions. They're like, "Oh, Ghana is not doing so well. What's happening?" And I'm explaining. And that,
There are a lot of my students here who sometimes when the
yeah,
AFCON was happening and were eliminated, they'll come and ask me, "Hey, Ghana didn't do well," and I'm like, in my mind, you guys watch the AFCON and you know that Ghana is not doing well. But
yeah.
Carragher is sitting there saying AFCON is not a big tournament.
It's a lazy comment because he doesn't put in the effort to watch, which is fine. But I'm glad that people just stood up and
Someone said,
really defended the tournament.
more people watch AFCON than they watched him in his career. But today, let's move on.
Like I need the best reaction from John Obi Mikel.
Yeah.
It's a big like. What are you doing, John?
Charlie,
What are you doing, John? Like he's so
he was so angry. He said Carragher has not won anything in his career. So what gives him the right? The best for me was JJ Okocha. JJ Okocha said,
says, "Would you want your son to be Carragher?"
he said nobody should respond to him. Like, would you want your son to be like Carragher when he grows up? Hey. Oh no, some people are just silent killers. He just asked the questions so silently.
Mo Salah wins, like if Mo Salah wins the league, which it looks like Liverpool is going to win, go very deep in the Champions and he wins the AFCON. Like let's be serious over
that's Champions League chat. End of story.
Like, let's be serious over here because, like, this season, no one has come close.
No.
And it's the same thing they keep on doing to our people. Like, immediately you are doing very well. Everyone can see you are doing well.
Yeah.
No one has doubt about you. Then they make it a question about where you are from.
Yes. And
what you are doing.
And like things that you have absolutely no control over. Like Salah cannot get up and come and play Euros. So what is his own? Like, what is fault about it?
What should he do? So, like, it just does. There's a fault in that thinking. There's a fault in the weighing metrics which we're already using. Like, if it's a regional tournament, it's a regional tournament. Like they are locked into that competition. So someone has won Euros, he has won Euros. Someone has won AFCON, he has won AFCON. Messi was winning Copa America and he was winning Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
No one said anything. But now Salah has to come and
explain why AFCON is a big tournament.
AFCON is a better tournament before he can win. That's the crap that they put. Anytime you are succeeding, then it's like, oh,
they'll come and give you a burden to justify.
To justify, like it doesn't make any sense. The guy is blowing up the league. Like the guy is blowing up the league. What again should he do? Like, tell me what else should he do now? He should switch his passports before he can win the Ballon d'Or. Mr. Jamie Carragher. He should switch his passport. Like, oh, you did so well.
You could have naturalized. You could have naturalized to become an England player.
Switch your passports, and you could have. Oh, I'm so sorry. You were so unlucky.
If only your parents were wise enough to go and give birth to you in France.
Yes. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy for me. Like, this is the behavior. This is what we always have to contend with, because black excellence is not enough. Like,
no, like
black excellence.
They always have to find some ridiculous reason to explain or to justify that. Like, what sort of pointlessness is this, bro? Anyway, that's been it on Jamie Carragher and his weird explanation of why AFCON is not a big tournament. Obviously, the African continent has reacted, and we've shown him that we are huge. Like, we have the voice, but also we are willing to back and support the tournament. And to some degree, like what Erasmus said is right. Sometimes you need these terrible people to point out their views so that I can call them out on it. Because all this while, he's been sitting there and he's been analyzing every African player he's ever had the chance to speak about on the Ballon d'Or from that perspective. And nobody knew. So now, everybody would know his take on an African player when it comes to the Ballon d'Or. It's a useless statement and a useless take because he already undermines them from wherever, based on the place they come from and the regional competition that they take. And so he's obviously going to say, by default, you are less on his pecking order. Because if it was Mbappe having the season that Salah was having, who would even think about France's performance in Euros or something?
Yes, no question. There will be no question. There will be no
Nonsense.
question. There will
Bro,
be no question.
Vinicius had less of less of that,
Yeah.
and he was crying with Madrid boycotting for his sake. And Nadia is sitting there saying what. Anyway, thanks for joining us on this episode of the Beer Parlor. Let us know your thoughts. Leave your comments. Jamie Carragher, what do you think the African continent? Maybe we should invite him to come and watch AFCON. Because
Yeah, someone give him because like, he needs the education. Like he really needs the education. Like it's because like yeah, I think there's a cultural context to it, right? Like
yeah,
usually when it comes to football, the chat is almost always cultural. Like people can speak about Wrexham FC
yeah,
and be very excited, or Chester FC and be very, very excited because they know the stories, the
yeah,
history, the things behind it. So it takes a lot of work to get into this, and most people do not give themselves a reason to do so. We do it because already there's a lot of chat and attention there. So
yeah,
we will watch the comments, talk about UCL because the cultural base is quite broad enough to be able to include all of us, and it's attractive enough to be able to do so.
yeah.
People need to give themselves a reason to go. And I think Salah winning the Ballon, like what Ademola Lookman did, caused a lot of
Oh,
people to start looking at the African
yeah,
a bit differently. Salah winning the Ballon d'Or will do a lot
yeah,
because now people will be like, yeah, we want to go and watch how he would perform over
yeah.
there. We
And the
want to go and
media,
see
the
this
media will
performance.
come around when he's playing AFCON. The media rights and the streaming rights will come around. So yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us on this episode. We'll see you on the next one. It's been fun being back, at least to talk about AFCON, to get an opportunity to express how prestigious it is, and also to call out the very shitty narratives like that of JB Carragher. See you on the next episode.